Picture this. You're walking through those wide, brightly lit corridors. The air smells vaguely of, like, cinnamon, buttery pretzels, and maybe a hint of expensive cologne.
Oh, yeah. That very specific department store perfume smell. I know exactly what you mean.
Right. It's so distinct. And there's this low hum of hundreds of conversations happening all around you, punctuated by the occasional echo of a laugh or a shopping bag crinkling.
It's a whole vibe.
It really is. And for a long time, if I asked you to place that memory, you might have called it a time capsule.
Totally, like a relic from a bygone era.
Exactly. An era before everything we ever wanted could just be delivered to our doorsteps with the tap of a screen. I mean, you probably thought the shopping mall was dead.
A lot of people did. I mean, most people did, honestly.
Right, but what if I told you the mall didn't die at all? What if it just went into a cocoon, quietly shedding its old skin, and mutated into something entirely different?
Yeah, and that's the shift we're looking at today. Because for years, the dominant narrative in retail strategy and, well, just everyday conversation really was that e-commerce was the undisputed apex predator.
The ultimate mall killer.
Exactly. The digital world had supposedly killed the physical shopping center,
Yeah.
leaving behind all those abandoned, boarded-up monoliths we've all seen in those gloomy photo essays online.
Oh, those are so depressing. The ones with the empty fountains and the overgrown food courts.
Right. But the actual data tells a completely different story. So today, we're doing a deep dive into some really fascinating insights from an article by Retailbound.
They're a retail channel management consultancy, Rob.
Yeah, they are. And their research completely flips the script on this so-called retail apocalypse. We aren't just looking at the fact that malls are surviving. We're going to explore why basic human psychology is actively driving this resurgence and, how the smartest brands in the world are re-engineering their entire business models to capitalize on it.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because I have to admit, when I first looked at the numbers in this source material, I had to do a double take.
It's surprising, isn't it?
It's shocking. I mean, we've all seen the headlines about mall closures, but the Retailbound article points to a 2023 report from Placer.ai, which tracks actual retail foot traffic.
And what they found is just, it goes against everything we've been told.
Totally. The report found that foot traffic in U.S. malls isn't just recovering from the pandemic dip, it's actually up 12% compared to pre-pandemic levels.
12%. That's not a small margin.
No, 12% is an enormous jump for an industry everyone had already written a eulogy for.
Right. And it's not just that one report either.
Yeah, add to that a Deloitte study showing that nearly half of all consumers now actively prefer a hybrid mix of online and in-person shopping.
Half of all consumers.
Yeah. They don't just want the convenience of an app, and they don't only want brick and mortar, they want this specific blend of both.
What's fascinating here is the underlying psychology driving that return, because you have to ask, when we have maximum convenience at our fingertips, why choose to get in a car, find parking, and walk around a crowded building?
Right, like why put on hard pants and leave the house?
Exactly. But the source makes it really clear. Shoppers are starved for tangible, multi-sensory experiences. I mean, we are fundamentally physical, social creatures.
We really are.
When you buy a heavy winter sweater online, you're just interacting with pixels on glass. You can't feel the weight of the wool.
You can't see how the dye catches the light in 3 dimensions.
Right, or you can't test a gadget's interface with your own hands. Digital screens, no matter how high resolution they get, they just cannot replicate that sensory input.
It's a completely flat experience.
It is. And beyond the products themselves, malls are sort of reclaiming their original mid-century purpose as community hubs. They're places to gather, break bread, and just exist around other human beings without necessarily having a strict itinerary.
It makes me think about the shift we all went through with remote work. If you compare pure e-commerce shopping to a Zoom meeting, the analogy holds up perfectly.
Oh, that's a really good point. How so?
Well, a Zoom meeting is highly efficient, right? It gets the job done quickly, there's no commute, and it serves its functional purpose.
Right, you just log on, do the thing, log off.
Exactly. But it is completely devoid of the spontaneous spark of being in the room with people. There's no serendipity.
Yeah, you miss the water cooler moments.
Totally. You don't have those little side conversations, you don't read body language the same way, and it can feel incredibly sterile after a while.
It really can.
And I think consumers are going back to malls because they want that spark back in their leisure time. They want the serendipity of walking past a window, seeing something totally unexpected, and sharing that moment of discovery with a friend or a partner.
Yeah, because the efficiency of the digital world kind of created this massive deficit of spontaneity. And retail developers recognize that deficit.
But they couldn't just do the same old thing,
Yeah.
right?
No, not at all. They realized they couldn't just unlock the doors of the exact same buildings from 2015 and expect crowds to pour back in. Consumer psychology shifted toward craving experiences over mere transactions.
So the spaces had to change.
Radically, to get people off their couches, the physical spaces had to radically transform. The architecture, the business models, and the very definition of a mall anchor all had to be rewritten to meet that psychological need.
Wait, I need to challenge that premise for a second.
Okay, go for it.
Because when I think back to the malls of the 1990s, they weren't purely transactional either. I mean, the mall has almost always had a food court, a massive multiplex movie theater, and, maybe a carousel in the middle of the promenade to keep kids entertained.
Like the classic mall layout.
Yeah. So what makes this new iteration actually different from the malls we grew up with? Is it really a foundational transformation, or are developers just throwing a fresh coat of paint and some new buzzwords on the old carousel model?
That's a fair question.
And beyond that, we've seen these massive experiential malls struggle. Like the American Dream Mall in New Jersey is cited in the article. But that place faced billions in debt and near defaults trying to build its vision. How is this actually a sustainable business model?
Well, the difference really lies in the shift from what we'd call ancillary entertainment to experiential anchors. And you're totally right to point out the immense capital risk involved.
Because it is huge.
Massive. But think about it this way. In the 1990s, the anchor of a mall was a massive department store, a Sears or a Macy's. The carousel and the food court were just side attractions to keep you there an extra hour.
Right, you went for the jeans, stayed for the Auntie Anne's.
Exactly. But today, the entertainment is the anchor. You mentioned the American Dream Mall. Yes, the capital expenditure was astronomical and highly risky.
Right.
But look at what they actually built to drive traffic. They have literal indoor ski slopes and full-scale theme parks integrated right into the architecture. They aren't relying on a department store to draw regional traffic. They are relying on the ski slope.
Wow. Okay, so the business model basically flips.
Exactly.
You aren't going to the mall to buy a jacket and then maybe grabbing a pretzel. You're going to the mall to ski, and because you're already there, you end up shopping.
That is exactly the dynamic the source is highlighting. The phrase Retailbound uses is immersive lifestyle destinations.
Immersive lifestyle destinations. Got it.
And it's not just amusement parks either. Take Brookfield Place in New York City. They didn't just add new stores. They completely rebranded around hosting high-end art exhibitions, culinary events, and wellness programs.
Oh, that sounds very different from a 90s mall.
It is. Or look at North Park Center in Dallas. They integrated world-class art installations so effectively into the retail environment that they draw over 26 million visitors a year.
26 million.
Yeah, 26 million. That's more foot traffic than many major theme parks get.
That is insane.
It really is. And the economics here rely on drastically extending what the industry calls dwell time.
Dwell time, basically how long you just hang around.
Exactly. If an art exhibit or an indoor ski slope keeps a family on the premises for 6 hours instead of 2, their incidental spending on food, retail, and services skyrockets. And that ultimately justifies the massive upfront capital investment in those experiences.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because to support tens of millions of people coming in for 6-hour multi-sensory experiences, the actual nuts and bolts of the mall had to be completely overhauled.
Oh, absolutely. The infrastructure had to change.
Yeah, the article lays out 3 specific pillars driving this new anatomy, and when you look at them together, they're effectively building micro-cities.
That's a great way to put it. And those 3 pillars, sustainability, diverse tenants, and integrated technology, they're deeply interconnected. You can't really achieve one without the others.
Right, they all feed into each other.
Let's start with the operational reality. Running an indoor ski slope or a massive climate-controlled art plaza requires an obscene amount of energy.
I can't even imagine the electric bill.
Right. So to make these microcities financially viable and avoid the bankruptcy risks you mentioned earlier, developers had to aggressively pursue sustainability, not just for good PR, but to literally slash operating costs.
Yeah. The source mentions developers installing massive solar arrays, implementing smart microgrids, and planting green rooftops. So by drastically cutting their utility overhead, the mall operators free up capital. And that actually brings us to the second pillar, who they are renting the space to.
The diverse tenants.
Exactly. Because they've optimized the building's efficiency, they aren't forced to rely exclusively on high-margin luxury clothing brands to pay exorbitant rents. They could diversify.
Right.
The article highlights this incredible shift in the tenant mix. They're moving way beyond apparel to include fitness studios, luxury spas, sprawling co-working spaces, and even urban farms.
Yeah, urban farms in a mall.
Yeah.
And Rosedale Center in Minneapolis is a prime example of this strategic tenant mixing.
What do they do?
They made a highly deliberate decision to place a large interactive gaming arcade directly adjacent to traditional retail stores.
Well, that's smart.
Very smart. The goal is to capture a younger demographic, Gen Z and Gen Alpha, who might not care at all about the clothing store, but they will happily spend 2 hours in the arcade.
Right. And while the teenagers are gaming, the parents are shopping next door.
Exactly. It keeps the whole family there.
You know, it reminds me so much of a smartphone ecosystem.
How so?
Well, the physical mall itself is the hardware, right? It's the actual phone in your hand. But the hardware is pretty much useless without the diverse, hyper-specific apps it runs. The tenants are those apps.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Right. You might open your phone just to check a single email, but because your banking app, your games, and your social media are all right there on the home screen, you end up staying on the device for an hour.
Yep, the endless scroll.
Exactly.
Huh.
And you might go to the mall just to drop off a single return, but because the co-working space, the urban farm, and the arcade are right in front of you, your dwell time just explodes.
That's a spot-on comparison. But to make that smartphone hardware work seamlessly, you need a robust operating system.
Ah, the third pillar.
Yes, that's the third pillar. Tech-enhanced shopping. Malls are layering digital infrastructure over the physical space to completely remove friction.
Like what kind of tech?
Well, Westfield malls, for instance, they are heavily leaning into mobile apps for seamless indoor navigation. They let you reserve parking spots, and they integrate loyalty rewards that span across multiple different retailers in the building.
Oh, wow. So it's all connected.
Exactly. And inside the stores themselves, brands are deploying augmented reality mirrors so shoppers can instantly do virtual try-ons without the bottleneck of a dressing room.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and they're using AI-powered chatbots for instantaneous inventory checks, too.
Okay, so developers are spending billions on ski slopes, green rooftops, and AR mirrors to build these high dwell time microcities.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, a mall only survives if the brands leasing the space are actually moving inventory.
Right. The math has to work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If I'm listening to this right now, and I'm a product manufacturer or a brand strategist, I'm probably wondering, does an indoor ski slope actually help me sell a vacuum cleaner?
It's the million-dollar question.
Yeah. How does a brand leverage this massive experiential playground to drive bottom-line revenue?
This gets to the very core thesis of the Retailbound article. The answer requires a total paradigm shift in how manufacturers view physical retail.
Okay.
Historically, a store was purely a distribution channel. You put boxes on a shelf, and people came to buy them.
Simple as that.
Right. But today, brands are treating the mall as a customer acquisition channel. It's essentially a top-of-funnel marketing expense.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because customer acquisition costs, or CAC, in the digital world is just skyrocketing right now.
Oh, for sure. Digital ads are so expensive.
Buying ads on search engines and social media is way more expensive and far less effective than it was even 5 years ago. So, brands are realizing that leasing a pop-up space in a highly trafficked experiential mall is actually a more cost-effective way to acquire a new customer than pouring money into digital ads.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Because you're capturing foot traffic that's already in a great mood from the art exhibit or the food hall.
Exactly. They're already there. They're already engaged.
And the source gives some fantastic examples of this play in action. Tesla and Apple basically pioneered this.
They really did.
Like, when you walked into a Tesla store in a mall, you weren't driving a car off a lot that day. There's no inventory in the back room. The space is a pure experiential showroom.
It's all about the vibe.
Right. It's about feeling the leather, looking at the chassis, and immersing yourself in the brand ethos. But it's not just legacy tech and automotive giants doing this anymore. Glossier, the beauty brand that built a massive empire entirely online, have been utilizing pop-up shops across U.S. malls.
And Glossier's strategy perfectly illustrates this shift. By bringing their highly curated digital aesthetic into a physical space, they dramatically boosted brand engagement.
Because you can finally touch it.
Exactly. People could finally touch, feel, and color test the products they had been scrolling past on Instagram for years. And this tactile engagement actually lowers return rates, which is a massive hidden cost for e-commerce
Oh,
brands.
I bet. Returns are a nightmare for online brands.
Huge nightmare. And we see this experiential approach dominating the toy and home appliance sectors as well. Take Lego.
Oh, I love the Lego stores.
Right. Lego doesn't just stack boxes of bricks on a shelf anymore. They host in-store building workshops. They literally turn the retail space into a playground.
Yeah, kids just go wild in there.
And that creates an emotional connection with the child and the parent, which directly correlates to much higher conversion rates as the family leaves the store.
Dyson is another incredible case study mentioned in the
Oh, the
text.
Dyson demo zones.
Yes. They set up these dedicated demo zones in these malls where shoppers can literally test drive a $500 vacuum on different types of debris scattered on the floor.
Which is so much fun, honestly.
It is.
Right.
Or you can use their high-end styling tools on your own hair in real time. Because if I'm going to drop hundreds of dollars on a hairdryer, watching a YouTube review is certainly helpful, sure.
But it's not the same.
Not at all. Holding the device, feeling the weight of the motor, and seeing what it actually does to my hair, that tactile proof is what justifies the premium price point and actually gets my credit card out of my wallet.
And what's vital for product manufacturers to understand here is that mall owners are actively hungry for these activations.
They want the brands to do this.
They're heavily subsidizing and encouraging these co-marketing opportunities. It's a beautifully symbiotic relationship. The mall relies on the brand's exciting, hands-on event like, a Dyson blowout bar or a Lego workshop to draw foot traffic and create FOMO.
Fear of missing out.
Exactly. And in return, the brand gets flexible, short-term lease terms, and access to a massive pool of ready-to-spend consumers. It builds a kind of brand visibility and long-term customer loyalty that fleeting digital ads really just struggle to replicate.
So we have this thriving ecosystem right now. The brand activations are driving conversions, the experiential anchors are keeping dwell times high, and the operational overhead is being managed by sustainable infrastructure.
It's all working together.
But where does a retail consultancy like Retailbound see this trending in the next 5 to 10 years?
Right.
We know technology doesn't sleep, and consumer expectations are only going to get higher.
Right. Well, the future of this space is being categorized under the term retailtainment.
Retailtainment.
Yeah, retail and entertainment mashed together. The idea is that retail and recreation won't just be neighbors in the same building. They will be entirely fused at a structural level.
Like completely integrated.
Yes. The source material projects that malls will evolve into true community anchors. They will seamlessly combine retail, specialized workspaces, routine health and medical services, and entertainment into one unified ecosystem.
So it basically becomes the foundational infrastructure of a neighborhood's weekly routine.
Exactly. You go there for everything.
The technological innovations the text mentions for this next phase are what really blew my mind, though. They talk about AI-driven personalization on a physical level.
It's wild stuff.
It's so sci-fi. Imagine walking through a mall promenade, and the digital signage and environment adapt to your real-time behavior based on your loyalty app data, or the use of augmented reality and virtual reality for deep product storytelling. A brand doesn't just show you a hiking jacket on a mannequin. They give you an AR headset that transports you virtually to the specific mountain range where the jacket's thermal tech was tested.
It's a full immersion.
And then there's the concept of digital twins, which really sounds like something straight out of science fiction.
Yeah, if we connect this to the bigger picture, digital twins represent the absolute holy grail for retail strategy.
What are they exactly?
A digital twin is a perfect, data-rich virtual replica of the physical mall layout. You see, historically, e-commerce had one massive, unfair advantage over physical stores: analytics.
Oh, the data tracking.
Right. On a website, you know exactly where a customer's mouse hovered, which links they clicked, how much time they spent on a specific product page, and exactly where they abandoned their cart.
Every single move is tracked.
Exactly. Physical retail never had that granularity.
Yeah, you just knew how many people walked in the door and what they eventually bought at the register. The entire middle part of the journey was just a black box.
Precisely. But with the deployment of IoT, that's the Internet of Things, sensors, Bluetooth beacons, and Wi-Fi tracking throughout the modern mall, developers can now track physical foot traffic heat maps in real time. And that physical data is instantly synced to the digital twin. This means a product manufacturer can A/B test a physical storefront window display with the exact same precision they A/B test a landing page online.
That is incredible.
They can see that an interactive display on the left side of the store holds attention for 45 seconds longer than a static display on the right, and then they adjust their inventory accordingly.
It's like having Google Analytics for the real world.
Exactly, and it goes both ways. A consumer can also browse the real-time physical inventory of the mall from their couch using the digital twin, buy it in the digital space, and then seamlessly transition to the physical space for an experiential pickup.
It is genuinely wild to think about. I mean, for the last 2 decades, the overarching narrative has been that software is eating the world.
Right.
The physical world is slowly, inevitably being replaced by the digital one. But what we are actually seeing in retail is the physical world adapting, fighting back, and adopting the very best parts of the digital world.
Taking the best of both worlds.
Yeah, it's taking the hyper-targeted analytics, the personalization, and the frictionless speed of the internet, and mapping it directly onto the physical, sensory reality that human beings naturally crave. It isn't a replacement at all. It's a massive upgrade to the human experience.
I couldn't agree more. The physical space is learning from the digital space, and the result is an environment that satisfies our modern expectation for efficiency while finally addressing our deep-seated biological need for tangible connection, discovery, and community.
So what does this all mean? Let's bring this all together for you. If you take anything away from this deep dive into Retailbound's research, let it be this. The shopping mall was written off as a casualty of the internet.
Totally written off.
But by pivoting hard into hands-on multisensory experiences, integrating smart, sustainable technology, and redefining themselves as micro-cities for the community, they have orchestrated an incredible comeback.
You really have.
If you're a product manufacturer, this new landscape is a golden opportunity to lower your customer acquisition costs and build loyalty through touch and feel things a website simply cannot do. And for you, the consumer, it means the places you go to shop are going to become increasingly vibrant, surprising, and tailored to your actual life. Keep an eye out for these changes. Next time you step into a mall, look past the storefronts and pay attention to how the space is actively engineered to engage your senses and your sense of community, not just your wallet.
And as you keep an eye out, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over, building on that idea of the digital twin. For years, we assumed the physical mall and the digital internet were locked in a zero-sum fight to the death.
One winner, one loser.
Yeah, one had to win and one had to lose. But when you look at AR try-on mirrors, IoT heat mapping, and digital twins syncing perfectly with brick-and-mortar stores, what if the future of the mall isn't a place you go to escape the digital world? What if, instead, the mall becomes the single location in our society where the physical and digital worlds perfectly, seamlessly overlap into one unified reality?
That is a thought that will definitely change the way I look at those neon signs and wide corridors the next time I walk in. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We loved unpacking this with you, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks for listening. Take care, everyone.